So here's a protocol that anyone can use if you want to increase levels of energy, if you suffer from low energy during the daytime. I would do that more deeply, more like, well, what's chronic stress? How do I know the difference between chronic and acute stress? And how do I keep chronic stress at bay? This has been backed by peer-reviewed studies. It will improve your focus, it will improve your energy levels, and it will improve your learning throughout the day. Most of you are not spending your entire day trying to optimize your health. Some of you might be, but most of you have jobs and you have families and you have commitments. If we fast for too long, that is stress. There's no way around that. I think it's fair to say that most people would like to have a lot of energy during the day, if you work during the day, and they'd like their energy to taper off at night. And I think it's fair to say that most people don't enjoy being sick. Nobody wants to get sick. In other words, you want to have energy and you want your immune system to function well, to ward off infections of various kinds, bacterial infections, viral infections, etc. And it turns out that the two hormones that dominate those processes of having enough energy and having a healthy immune system are cortisol and epinephrine. First of all, cortisol is a steroid hormone, much like estrogen and testosterone, in that it is derived from cholesterol. Now, that could be cholesterol that you eat. It could be cholesterol that's produced by the liver. No matter how much cholesterol you're eating or you produce, whether or not it's low or it's high, if you are stressed, more of that cholesterol is going to be devoted toward creating cortisol, which is indeed a stress hormone. However, the word stress shouldn't stress you out because you need cortisol. Cortisol is vital. You don't want your cortisol levels to be too low. It's very important for immune system function, for memory, for not getting depressed. You just don't want your cortisol levels to be too high, and you don't want them to be elevated even to normal levels at the wrong time of day. I would like you to think about cortisol not as a stress hormone, but as a hormone of energy. Epinephrine is the same thing as adrenaline. In the body, we tend to call adrenaline, and in the brain, we tend to call adrenaline epinephrine. And I'm sorry for that. I didn't create this naming system. Epinephrine, or adrenaline, has also been demonized a bit. We think of it as this stress hormone, this thing that makes us anxious, fight or flight. We used to get chased by lions and tigers and bears, and now we don't, and it's this ancient hangover. That's all wrong. The fact of the matter is that epinephrine is your best friend when it comes to your immunity. So we have cortisol and we have epinephrine, and their net effect is to increase energy. So first of all, I want to give you a tool that will help you regulate cortisol. So the first tool is to make sure that your highest levels of cortisol are first thing in the morning when you wake up. One way or another, every 24 hours, you will get an increase in cortisol. That is non-negotiable. That is written into your genome. That increase in cortisol is there to wake you up and to make you alert. It's to stimulate movement from being asleep, presumably horizontal, to getting up and starting to move about your day. And I've said it before, but I will say it again. The best way to stimulate that increase in cortisol at the appropriate time is that very soon after waking, within 30 minutes or so after waking, get outside, view some sunlight. Even if it's overcast, get outside, view some sunlight, no sunglasses. Never look at any light so bright that it could damage your eyes, but do that for 2 to 10 minutes. If it's very bright, 2 minutes. If it's not so bright, 10 minutes. Do that because in the early part of the day, you have the opportunity to time that cortisol release to the early part of the day, which will improve. This has been backed by peer-reviewed studies. It will improve your focus, it will improve your energy levels, and it will improve your learning throughout the day. It will also prevent a late shift in cortisol increase. And late shifted cortisol, meaning cortisol that increases around 8 or 9 p.m., is a signature feature of many depressive disorders, including major depression, anxiety, and that, of course, correlates with things like insomnia, etc. So that's a key tool, and I don't know how many of you are already doing that, but it is vital to do. Most of you are not spending your entire day trying to optimize your health. Some of you might be, but most of you have jobs and you have families and you have commitments. Life enters the picture and provides you stressors. And those stressors, whatever they may happen to be, a difficult coworker, some disappointment about something, you didn't get the raise you expected, or you didn't get the vacation that you expected, those will cause increases in cortisol and epinephrine. This is important to understand. You don't have the luxury of just having this morning cortisol and then having it taper off. You want that major cortisol early in the day, but then you should expect increases in cortisol and adrenaline throughout the day based on events that are unpleasant to you. So for me, the events that are most unpleasant to me are things like traffic, emails that ask me to fill out a form for which I can't find the link. These kinds of things stress me out. I'm a human being. I don't lose my cool over them, but I can feel my level of alertness and kind of frustration increase, the normal kind of things that go with stress, tense up a little bit. The key is these blips in cortisol and epinephrine need to be brief. You can't have them so often or lasting so long that you are in a state of chronic cortisol elevation or chronic epinephrine elevation. This system of stress was designed to increase your alertness and mobilize you towards things, get you frustrated, and provide the opportunity to change behavior. That's what they were designed to do. So here's a protocol that anyone can use if you want to increase levels of energy, if you suffer from low energy during the daytime or whenever it is that you'd like to be alert. Pick a practice that you can do fairly consistently, maybe every day, but maybe every third day or every fourth day. Maybe it's an ice bath or a cold bath. Maybe it's a cold shower. Maybe it's the cyclic inhale, exhale breathing protocol I described. If that wasn't clear, and people always ask for a demo, I'm not going to do the whole thing right now, but I'm willing to do a few rounds of this, or a few cycles, I should say. So it's inhale. I would do that more deeply, more like you do that 25, 30 times repeatedly. You will start to feel warm. People in the yogic community, they say you're generating heat. You're not generating heat, you're releasing adrenaline. Inhale, exhale, 25 or 30 times. You will feel agitated and stressed. That's because you're releasing adrenaline in your body, and that's because you're releasing norepinephrine in your brain. And you'll be more alert. Then you can follow that 25 or 30 breath cycles with an exhale hold, and hold your breath for 15 to 30 seconds. Always do this on dry land, never while driving, operating heavy machinery, all the standard safety protocols, never near water, please. People have passed out and died doing this with breath holds in water. There are several deaths associated with it. On land, it's probably safer. Clear it with your doctor, but 25, 30 breaths, exhale, hold, 25, 30 breaths again, exhale, hold, 25, 30 breaths again, exhale, hold, and then if you like, you can do an inhale and hold if that's within your margins of safety. I don't have to list off all the ways that stress is terrible and chronic stress is terrible. I think you know. Insomnia, your immune system over time will get battered and you won't be able to fight infection off as well, right? You don't want to be stressed for too long. You can start laying down the sort of classic pattern of cortisol-induced body fat. Why do we seek high-fat and or high-sugar foods when we are stressed for a while? Why would that be? And the reason is that the so-called glucocorticoids, of which cortisol is a glucocorticoid, high levels of glucocorticoid shut off the releasing hormones in the brain and in the pituitary. They shut down in a so-called negative feedback loop. So if cortisol levels get too high, if there's too much cortisol floating around in our bloodstream, there's a negative feedback loop and the brain and pituitary shut down CRH and ACTH, which would otherwise stimulate more cortisol. So cortisol levels go down. So it's a beautiful negative feedback loop. And you should watch yourself next time you experience stress. If it's a short-term bout of stress, typically it blocks hunger. If it's a longer bout of stress, typically it triggers hunger, in particular for these so-called comfort foods, sugary and fatty foods. And it's kind of interesting how short-term stress can actually block hunger. It does that by activating or interacting with a system called the bombesin system. Bombesin is a peptide hormone. It reduces eating, and stress liberates bombesin and makes you want to eat less. But chronic stress causes all these positive feedback changes, which are not positive. They're positive I'm calling them positive because they amplify the stress response over and over, not because they are good for you. So short-term stress, great. Long-term stress, really, really bad. So if chronic stress is so bad because of its effects on epinephrine and cortisol being elevated for too long, then the question becomes, of course, well, what's chronic stress? How do I know the difference between chronic and acute stress? And how do I keep chronic stress at bay because of all these negative effects? And I didn't even list out the number of other ones, the effects on depression, which certainly has a correlate with elevated cortisol, thyroid hormone associated with low thyroid hormone is associated with depression, mistimed thyroid. Once again, getting your light and your feeding and your exercise and your sleep on a consistent schedule or consistent-ish is going to be the most powerful thing you can do in order to buffer yourself against negative effects on mental health and physical health for that matter. So you're probably getting the impression that cortisol and epinephrine are a bit of a double-edged sword. You want them elevated, but not for too long or too much. You don't want them up for days and days and days, but you do want to have a practice in order to increase them in the short term. So meal schedules has a profound effect on energy levels. And as I mentioned before, the energy I'm referring to is not glucose energy. It's not burning carbs while running or ketones. What I'm talking about is neural energy, epinephrine and cortisol. Fasting and timing one's eating are two sides of the same coin. So even if you're on a kind of standard 3 meal a day with a couple snacks in between diet or nutrition regimen, you are fasting whenever you're asleep or you're not ingesting any calories. So unless you're hooked up to an IV of glucose, you are fasting while you're sleeping. There are several different kinds of fasting that can relate to epinephrine and cortisol. In the meantime, I'd like to just talk about fasting as a source of epinephrine. Anytime when our blood glucose is low, cortisol and epinephrine are going to go up. If we fast for too long, that is stress. There's no way around that. Now, that doesn't mean it doesn't have other beneficial effects. Running a marathon is stress, but it can also have positive effects if that's your thing. So stress has been demonized as a term, but we want to think about stress mechanistically as epinephrine and cortisol. And then if we do that, we can think about how to regulate its timing. So anytime we haven't eaten for 4 to 6 hours, levels of epinephrine and cortisol are going to go up pretty substantially. There are things that one can take, supplements, prescription drugs, etc. Some of you out there may have or may know people that have Cushing's, which is chronically elevated cortisol. There are prescription drugs that we will talk about that can be used. But most people are dealing with a situation where life gets stressful, then less stressful, stressful, then less stressful. I would say, based on the data from McEwen and others, Bob Sapolsky's lab over many years, I would say any stress that lasts more than a day or 2 days or 3 days is starting to become chronic stress. There's really no strict cutoff because we're not measuring everybody's cortisol from moment to moment. My lab has done experiments where we measure stress in people over time. People vary tremendously in their ability to have a really hard day and then fall deeply asleep. That's going to be the ultimate reset, is the ability to sleep well, more or less undisturbed each night, although 1 or 2 wake-ups during the night probably not going to be too detrimental, provided they're not too long and you're not viewing light during those wake-ups or your phone. But the things that you can take if you feel like you're chronically stressed and you're veering toward some of the negative effects of stress are many. There are some simple things that people can do in terms of supplementation. All supplements, of course, have to be checked out for their safety margins for you because it's going to differ from person to person. You're responsible for making sure they're safe for you if you decide to use them. One of the most common ones is ashwagandha, and it has a powerful anxiolytic anti-anxiety effect. You're welcome to go to examine.com, and for zero cost, you can see their so-called human effect matrix. Ashwagandha has many uses. It's been used to enhance power output in athletes. It has been shown to modestly increase testosterone. It has been shown to modestly adjust things like low-density lipoprotein cholesterol, the so-called bad cholesterol, in quotes. It has a profound effect on anxiety. That's been shown in 9 studies, 9 peer-reviewed independent studies, funded by organizations that have no vested interest in the answer. It has a very strong effect on cortisol itself. How strong? The decrease in cortisol noted in humans is 14.5 to 27.9% reduction in otherwise healthy but stressed humans. So if one were to decide to take ashwagandha in order to reduce cortisol, given that you want cortisol early in the day to have energy throughout the day, the time to take it is probably later in the day or in the evening. I've never heard of it preventing sleep or causing insomnia of any kind. That certainly wasn't listed as one of the major effects on examine.com. I will take ashwagandha from time to time if I'm chronically stressed or if I'm not sleeping as well as I ought to. And so I will supplement with ashwagandha, and typically I'll take it before sleep and maybe also with my last meal of the day, which is at least 2 hours before I go to sleep. Again, you have to decide if it's right for you. The dosages can vary tremendously. I would just go by what's on the bottle from a reputable brand. I would also check out examine.com because it mentions a range of dosages that people have used and in various studies to different effects. The other compound that I think deserves attention is Apigenin, 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 which is what's found in chamomile. Apigenin, I've talked about previously. It has various effects. One is it is a mild anti-estrogen. That's been shown in various studies. And it does have a bit of an anxiolytic effect of reducing anxiety. I take it before bedtime, 50 milligrams. So ashwagandha and Apigenin together I would consider the most potent commercial compounds that are in supplement, non-prescription form that one could use if they were interested in reducing chronic stress, especially late in the day by way of reducing cortisol late in the day.